Gabe's dedicated. He's logging in on vacation from Canada.
It was nice this morning.
Yeah,
Fine.
I know. I know. It actually feel a little cool.
Yes.
For the brief period last night where there was a nice breeze and it felt pretty cool, but then I went out later and I was like, nope, going back in the house.
I didn't find that until I turned the fan on inside.
Well, I think
Right.
Dave's it, so I think everybody's in.
Okay, I'm calling the meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
States of
America,
America, to the republic for which it
one
stands,
nation, under God,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and
liberty
justice
and
for all.
justice for all.
Roll call.
Mochler,
Here.
Brady,
Here.
Peasy,
Here,
Gilbertson,
Here.
Raylo.
Approve agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both same
Aye.
sign. Motion passes. Any conflict of interest declarations? Hearing none. Approve minutes from the July 7th meeting.
The spelling that I got. I think
Oh, yeah.
one of the BCBCs was like BS.
Oh, okay, I'll look. Thank you.
Other than that, yes. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both
Aye.
same sign. Motion passes. Are there any visitors to be heard? Hearing none. Got a public hearing. Second reading of proposed ordinance to rezone land located at approximately 46970 South Dakota Highway 50, Burbank, legally described as tracks 4, 5, and 6 lot A, south half of the northeast quarter of section 13, township 92 north, range 51 west of the 5th PM, Clay County, South Dakota, from A1 agriculture to C1 commercial.
Yep, so just like before, this is expanding business. After discussing it with him, we agreed that, just rezone all three parcels fully to commercial. That way he doesn't have to go through this hoops and ladders game again, so. And he thought that was a smart idea too. So that's why it's all three. So. Yeah. I'll move to approve ordinance 2026-03.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Gilbertson,
Aye.
Brady,
Aye.
Teasy,
aye,
Mochler.
Aye. Motion passes. Lane.
Well, that time on the quarter again to get the quarterly report signed. We'll see how I gotten it, so it's.
Yep.
I move that we allow the chairman to sign Lane's quarterly report.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
aye,
Both same sign. Motion passes. Seems like we do this like once a month. And then budget request.
Yep, so I don't have it. I pretty much went status quo. From last year. I think it might even be overall like $1,000 less. If I remember correctly.
What's that? No, we don't need anything for that. Just unless you've got questions, so. I was just trying to find my packet. It's the budget work.
Yeah, it's separate. That was Friday, the 17th.
I don't think anybody's got any questions then.
Alright, good. I'll just holler if you do.
Thanks. Corey.
So I guess the only real change to my budget is I put in there for a new pickup. The Dodge is 25 years old, so it's time to send that one packing, I think. Everything else is pretty much the same as last year, so.
So that's the extra 82.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Sorry, that's the extra 82 that's in there then is most of the pickup.
Mostly the pickup, yes, and it probably will not end up costing that.
Nope, nothing here.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Corey.
Okay, resolution authorizing submission of applications for the big program. Is that one for the ditch board? That one's for the ditch board though, right? Or no, that,
I put it in both sections on the agenda because I wasn't sure.
but the bridge doesn't fall under the ditch.
Okay. I wasn't sure, so when you get to the ditch board, just take that off the agenda.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2026-17.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Are you gonna have to post it?
I don't know. I'm waiting for them to get back to me.
Okay. Did they give you an idea of what they might have to drop it to or?
I want to say it was like 2416.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those, resident or roll call.
Gilbertson,
Aye.
Brady,
Aye.
Teasy,
Aye.
Mochler.
Yes, motion passes. Resolution to delete bridge from the National Bridge Inventory for structure 14-030-180. Structure's been replaced.
That turned out nice.
That's great.
Yeah, looks good.
Got a lot of people
Good.
happy with that.
Move to approve resolution 2026-8.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor or roll call?
Gilbertson,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Teasy,
Yes.
Mochler.
Yes, motion passes. Driveway application for Tyler Johnson.
Yeah, just wants to make it longer or wider, just for trucks getting in and out of there to that feed lot there on 308 off of 19. He already got the culvert and everything, I guess, and Greg Ware's doing the work for him, so.
Okay.
Move to approve Tyler Johnson's application.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Sign. Motion passes.
Before we move to ditch board, Frog Creek, we had a pre-con meeting on that. And, wherever they're working at right now, we're lucky and got enough rain and stuff to where their project got moved back a little bit. So now they're looking at, late August, early September to start on that. And then, I had, one of my guys that I hired that ended up going to the Air Force National Guard. He left in November. He's gonna be back July 28th. Sends me a text, July 10th. Like 6:30 in the morning, said, he found a new job, ain't coming back. He was supposed to be back July 28th, so looking for another person again, so. Perfect. Yeah. Been gone for 6 months. Text me 2 weeks before he's supposed to be back. So. And that's all I got for the highway part, so.
You got any more brothers, Michael?
Yeah, if they're anything like Dakota, I'll take a couple.
So I'll entertain a motion to go into ditch board. So
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. We're in ditch board. So we got a resolution authorizing submission of applications. Oh, we already.
That was the duplicate one.
Local federal bridge program.
So you should just have the
So approve
invoice.
the invoice. So we've got in there for $200.20, and that was to culvert bans on.
Yep. South side.
Application.
Yeah. I'll move to approve that invoice.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose
Aye.
same sign. Motion passes. Entertain a motion to come out of ditch board. So
Second.
motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Pose same sign. We're in regular session. Thanks. We'll get these to you. Okay. Scary's got to sign a bunch of them.
Okay.
Andy.
If you want to do the contract first or the budget talk first,
Wherever you want to start.
I mean, easy ones, get that, contract discussed. Something we've been working on for quite some time. And, it's US Marshal contract. You can folks have it. Okay. Mike is taking a look at it. It's really the first page is where everything is. The rest is all boilerplate language, but, we have our $95 day rate. We also got that transportation rate that we discussed at a previous meeting in there, along with hourly or mileage. They agreed to all that. One thing is it's a 3-year contract, so they want to lock us in the 95 for 3 years. I don't really object to that. And I think that they will help us keep us at our optimal housing number. Right now, we're at about 27. Good many of those are boarded inmates that we're receiving revenue on. With this Marshall contract, it'll help us keep us into the high 30s, which is where we want to be. So I'd recommend we approve this. And they want it to take effect August 1st.
That's quite the read the whole thing, I gotta say.
Yeah.
It's really 18 pages and then there's a bunch of forms that.
Yeah. The only concern I had and they take available beds, they're not gonna say that we're obligated to beds. If they have 10 inmates and we don't have, like, you notice on the first estimated number of federal beds, that's an estimate, 10 male, 10 female. That's just kind of a ballpark number we gave them that we can take for them. We're not obligated to give them 10 beds if we don't have them available.
I moved to approve the contract with the marshals.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion passes.
And then unlike some of our county contracts, it doesn't have a place for commission chair and sheriff. I'll just sign it with your approval and return it to them. Right. Otherwise, I had pull up a bunch of stuff rather than at least a whole bunch of paper. I put it all on my computer here. I think that probably the easier stuff to do is gonna be, talk about the, coroner budget, which is, I just left it alone. Seem to be hitting it about right, on the number, really for the coroner. We have the occasional autopsy, and occasional transport cost, and that's pretty much it. And, we've kind of been hitting that about right, the number of, you never know, but we do a few a year. And, so far we've gotten into this year and I think maybe the only bills we paid for them were some from late last year, so it's been a pretty good year. We just had one this last week though. Sometimes when possible, they're really good to us. They do an external exam instead of a full autopsy if it's appropriate. That saves us a lot of money. That's what we did this last week. So for the coroner one, unless you have any questions, I'll just move on, but that one's the same as last year. Have any recommendations about that? Otherwise, 24/7 budget. That one it's basically spending authority. That money doesn't come from the general fund. It comes from 24/7 program, although the county does support the program with wages quite a bit. I don't think the 24/7 program would completely fund itself. For example, if I hired someone to come in and do the testing during the test times, put the patches on and all that, it wouldn't sustain itself. So essentially the county does pick that up because we have on-duty jail staff do the work. Otherwise, I think that that's pretty straightforward. We used to get a grant from the state. They would have a surplus of money from the scram bracelets that would go on. And then annually we would receive a grant back up to $10,000, and we tended to get that. The program changed that this past year to where we keep more money because each month we send them their share that we collect. And now we keep a little bit more of that, and they don't send us $10,000 a year. So with Paylocity, things have changed a little bit about how we distribute 24/7 money toward wages. And since then, I've just get with Carrie every now and then. We just kind of work out how much ought to be come out of 24/7 to offset the county's investment in that. We're due to do that, I think, because we're halfway through the year now. We haven't paid any wages out of 24/7 yet this year. Any questions about that one?
You think it'll go down?
What's that?
You've got your budget in here that's $4,500 less than last year.
Yeah. Let's see, what did I reduce? Well, I reduced the state distribution because we're sending them less.
Oh, okay.
And then the refunds, we've been budgeting about $1,000 for refunds. That's somebody gets off program with money on their books. It was just more than we needed. So I just dropped that down to 750. I did increase the repairs just because we have PBTs that need to get fixed and they're getting older. We just had to fix a PBT that the patrol deputies had. And so I thought we'd probably better prepare for that. Supplies are basically drug patches and PBT tubes. I increased that a little bit. Try to keep up with what we've been seeing in previous years. Any thoughts about that? And I'm going to be switching screens back and forth here, so I'm not exactly sure what you folks are going to see, but second.
I went back and added in the overtime
Oh,
that we talked about. So
Okay.
they'll have that updated.
What I did is I had Carrie had done a nice little neat thing for the department heads where she had anticipated all the wages for us, and I didn't have to go and do all that. But so I just agreed with her on the wages, but I didn't add the overtime. So I came in and asked, like, whoops, I forgot to have overtime in there. We don't have a separate line for overtime. That's under the salaries and wages line. And so I just So I just increased that. Now, I don't know, I went through, Jillian had gotten me a report showing the actual overtime paid out last year.
One second. Are you doing the sheriffs or the jail?
Several sheriffs, that's what I'm looking at right now. And so I got the actual overtime that we paid out last year and kind of went with that number. I see that we hit it pretty close to my budget last year. Other than because of overtime, we went over about $10,000 on my budget. my overall budget was fine because I had that left over in other funds. But on the salaries and wages side, I did go over a little bit, but that was reimbursed. We do get a highway safety reimbursement for overtime work for highway safety projects. And USD hires our deputies off duty to work at an overtime rate. At football games, the county pays them and then USD reimburses us. So that they reimburse us the 10,000 that we went over last year. So we're pretty close on that. So what I typically do is I look at what we had last year. If things look good, and then I add the COLA to it, and that's the number I came up with. So I believe I had a request in for 20,000 additional overtime for the in addition to the original request. Some of the numbers you saw might be off a little bit than where I'm at today because I did get a notice of a retirement coming up. I have a senior deputy, Jeff Anders, is going to retire this fall. So we'll be replacing him with probably a newer person, if not brand new, a newer person than him. So wages went down a little bit. I don't know. We'll talk later this year, but whether or not we'll even be able to replace him this year because the severance is going to exhaust, the unpaid salary for the last 3 months of the year. He'll be leaving us in September. And so we'll have October, November, and December's wages unpaid to him, but his severance is going to be actually more than that. So we'll talk about backfilling that at another time. But for next year's budget, I have it figured with a new person. Other than that, in the sheriff's side, the only difference is just simply scheduled raises, the COLA to the scale and scheduled raises. And like I said, overtime was in there before. When we look at the other lines, I did increase the professional services line a little bit because it's just, that's how these software companies make their money now. They create software and then you pay every year to use it, and it's just going up. We've worked out some arrangements. We don't have a signed agreement with the city yet, but between Scott and Chief Brady and I, we kind of worked out how we're going to pay for some supplies and things like that between us. And so I increased our repairs line a little bit. Like, for example, the exterminator bill, Crystal and I will split that rather than have that come out of Scott's. So I just looked at where our budget's going so far this year, and I just kind of thought we ought to increase that a little bit to try to stay on top of things there. But other than that, our sheriff's office supplies, I didn't increase. Utilities, you'll see, went way up, and I actually put in 65,000 on that, and I'm on track to spend about 75,000 right now. As we don't have an agreement yet with the city, but we're operating as if we do. And right now we're picking up 70% of the utilities costs in that building. They're proposing 28% for them instead of 30, but right now we're operating under a 70-30 split. So we're picking up a lion's share of that. Now, understanding I'd seen Scott's budget, and you guys would probably talk to Scott, but he's got money in there for utilities. So I think we need to work that out. And who's paying that utility. But I think that initially it was going to be under that contract. So
Wasn't that gonna be 2/3, 1/3?
we were 2/3, 1/3 here. And then what we did was we literally just went down to the room by room and had a square footage split that comes out. And that it's literally based on square footage of 100% city use, 100% county use, and then 50. What is 50-50? We split 50-50. And so it comes out to something like 28.2% or some, really down to the nickel there. But that's where we're at right now with the agreement. It's not signed yet, but that's the proposal. But Crystal and I started even as we moved in last October on a 70-30 split. We just needed a number, and that's how we've been splitting our utility bills and other things. It's, I don't want to get into the whole contract, and we can, but that's not why we're here today.
Right.
And so, but there's a lot of other variables there that we're looking at. So that's why I have so much in utilities. Honestly, I think 65 might be a little low, but I'm hopeful that we'd find a lot more economy. Scott's been working really hard on getting that HVAC system working right. It's been working a little hard lately, so, not a lot of control. So I'm hoping the building will be more economical once that's all done. Car expense I left the same. That's just gas, oil changes, tires. We've been hitting that about right. Ideally, gas would go down a little bit and give us a little cushion there. So far, we're on track this year, I think. My training and equipment, that has, we have a contract for our tasers and, it's an annual contract where they do a replacement. It's a subscription deal and that's in there. And then, training's expensive, but I try to do as much local stuff as I can or send them to peers as much as I can. Try to avoid travel and rooms. Moving down, I did reduce our furniture line a little bit, mainly because I increased it because moving into the new building and had some needs. Feeling pretty comfortable there. You always need a copier or something like that and computers, and I'm trying to stay on top of that. But so I did drop that $2,500. And then in the car, I'm hoping we're back into our routine. If some of you guys might remember, we started budgeting for a car and a half annually, and then one year we buy one car, and the next year we buy two cars, but we budget for a car and a half. And then we had the issue where Ford couldn't provide us cars, and then we ended up buying a used car, and then we ended up buying Durangos, and they didn't come, and we got into the following year, and so I'd end up having that increased for 2026 to get our cars. But now I feel like we're on track we're gonna do one car next year. So I budgeted for a car and a half at 70,000 instead of 90. So that's a reduction on that line. Any question on the sheriff's budget? Other than utilities and then just staff costs being what they are, there's not a lot of surprises there. Jail one's the hard one. In the jail, I have some turnover planned and has happened that has resulted in us reducing some of the numbers from where it's probably been presented to you. And honestly, I guess going back to the sheriff, I'll get with Carrie and make sure that our numbers match from what I think we should be at. Actually, I have that just a second. So sorry, on the sheriff's line under the requested, this is for salaries, wages, and all of the social security and everything that goes with that. I believe the request to you is $1,123,270. Is that right?
On the sheriff.
On the sheriff. I'm looking at Carrie's sheet here that had it all filled.
They did amend it for that overtime, so let
Okay.
me just take a look at what we had.
It's not 868.
Oh, 1,146,400.
Oh,
Okay. Well,
thank you.
I'm at, and let me and Carrie get together on this, but I'm at 1,127,925. And that's, probably due to Jeff leaving and replacing him with somebody new.
That could be.
Yep.
'Cause I don't think I accounted for that.
Yeah.
What did you say you had, Andy? 1,000,000?
1,127 and 925.
So 19.
Well, I'm showing 4,500 different.
On the salaries and
Are you on the most recent one that I sent out?
So it was one.
Probably not.
Probably not, just say.
114.
146.
Okay.
And if Andy's a little less there, I mean, that about washes for the overtime, so.
thank Jeff for that, for taking his retirement, I guess, in a tough year, but he's due. He's ready for it. Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. Now going back to the jail. I do have some requests for new positions in there, and I think that it's worth discussing. I know that this is probably a tough year. I had asked Don about how things are going, covering shifts. We try to have a minimum staffing. Well, we have a minimum staffing of 3. We can't operate with less than that. Frequently during peak times, or just because full timers have to overlap. We have 4, and when Don's there 5. The jailers are basically feeling like they're understaffed at 3 and sometimes even 4 during the busy periods, different times of the day. And so she she had asked for one more full timer, and of course, when you get a full timer, you need a part timer to fill the days off. And she doesn't have the actual schedule. I think the problem would be that full timer would have a crazy schedule, needing a few days here and a few days there. If this year isn't the year to add that, if we want to let it ride a little longer and see how it goes, I would request a couple more part timers. Part timers, as long as we don't add to the current shifts, have more people on duty, part timers are a wash because it gives us ability to fill open shifts without bringing in full timers, or in my mind, also avoiding us from causing mayhem in the schedule, moving people's days off and their shifts around. And that way we can have the part timers fill the open shifts. So I would be looking to add a couple of part timers either way. And then a full-time position accounts for just shy of $61,000 of the increase you see in there. And then I've got those extra part-timers in there too. And I don't know if they show up in the numbers Carrie's got. Again, I had one of my senior people left, and then he was a sergeant, so I moved another jailer up to sergeant. I was Ryan Church left. Roz Baylor became a sergeant, so he got the pay increase to go with it, although he's still a little less than Ryan. And then we moved a few people out. And I'm just looking here. I got a person in here in my list that is now gone. But a bit of turnover in the jail. It isn't as bad as it used to be, but we have that. So I'll get with Carrie and make sure our numbers are jiving, but with the overtime request in the jail and the salaries that we expect to see, and this includes the requested personnel, that's one full timer and two part timers that I would add, is 1.693, 1,693,508. And I don't know what you have us at. Well, I guess I probably have that here. 160.
I guess 594.
What do you got?
594.
Yeah,
595.
Oh, yeah.
Go back to that. I'm gonna do something real quick here. All right, I'm gonna say that's pretty accurate. I had a I had a jailer who had left, still on my list, and that was $60,000. So if I reduce that by $60,000, we should be closer to what you have. And I don't want to do a lot of math here in front of you, but I'll get with Carrie and make sure that we're right on that. And then I could say if we don't want to add that one full-time position, that'd be another $60,000 we could cut from that. And then ideally we just have ability to schedule a part-timer. Another value of part-timers on there, when she's got an afternoon that's just a peak period, she can bring in part-timer for 4 hours, where full-timers, it just doesn't work that way.
But even without the full timer, we still need the two part timers.
Yeah, I'd like to do that, because what happens is if we throw too many hours on our current part-timers, once they average more than 30 hours a week, we're required to give them benefits. So we have to keep them under an average of 30 hours a week. So she's got to look at that. So we try to give them, 2 to 3 shifts a week max. And we need the ones we have, just to cover people's days off. And then all of a sudden you've got somebody on vacation or something, or we've got court together with other things going on, and we just need to bring in somebody extra.
Do you think you can find a part time?
Yeah, I think so. So I will make sure that Carrie and my math is right. If you have any indication on whether or not you want to approve that one, you can let me know. Otherwise, I'll just leave it in there for now. Then going down into the next lines, I have my professional services line. I increased that. One increase is due to the annual support contract for the door controls and cameras. We got a contract on that's going to cost us about $17,000 a year. PD is going to chip in on that. Actually, my share is going to be just under $17,000, but they're gonna participate in that. Of course, it's the same ratio, 30% or less. And then, but the big reason that jumps up from 25 to 140 is essentially it would be 40 because of that increase, except I'm trying to work on a contract for inmate healthcare. I have an appointment with Sanford coming up. It was after today, so I needed to get something in here. I'm also working with Avira, and they're working on a proposal for me. And then the provider for Minnehaha County is working on a proposal, and I just haven't got it back from any of them yet. But the number I have in there, I just put in $100,000 in there because that's what Yankton was proposed by Avira. They went a different route. In Yankton, they hired a nurse that works for them as a county employee and comes in. But they did get a quote from Avira prior to that of 90,000. This was a couple of years ago, so I put in 100,000 for that. Now, my hope is that isn't just $100,000 that we have to come up with somewhere. My hope is that will be reduced by how much we pay clinics that we take the doctors or the inmates to now. And these would be replace clinic visits. And but one of the reasons we're not farther along with this is because when our population was low, it really wasn't in anybody's interest to come down and provide healthcare for us to serve 1 or 2 inmates. Well, now that we're running 30 and up, we're running inmates to the doctor, 4, 5, 6 a week. And we want to get away from that. Now I think it'll be a lot better for us to get the contract. I just put that in there because I didn't know where else to put it, but I want to make sure that we talked about it. On the repair side, again, in the jail, there's just always something, something breaking. It's just always the way it is with the jail. Scott takes care of almost everything, but every now and then we're going to have to hire a plumber or electrician or sometimes have, the people that install our systems, provide support. Now we will have a 24/7 support, but if we ever have any other work done, we're going to have to hire that done. On the supply side, I bumped that a little bit. It was 7,500 last year. I bumped it to 10,000. I'm way over on supplies this year so far. And that's because it's just, we've been buying blankets and pillows, and we kind of started out with what we felt we needed last year. And then what happened, we needed some more underwear. We need more socks. We need some more prisoner uniforms. And then we added all those 20 plus Department of Corrections inmates, and thinking we had enough uniforms until they all take extra large, and we don't have that many extra large. And so then we had to buy some more uniforms and some more blankets. We had enough blankets for everybody until we do laundry. Well, it's one thing when you're doing laundry with 10 inmates in there, but when you're doing laundry with 30 or 40, you have to replace those blankets and sheets. And so we spent a bit of money this year getting our supplies up for that. I'm hoping we're about there, but I did increase that a little bit next year just to make sure as they damage things. We had one inmate, he was a Department of Corrections inmate, ruined one of our mattresses right out of the gate. That's just what they do. They can be pretty ornery. Phone cards line I reduced to $1,000 from 2,000. Whatever that is always 100% reimbursed. We just buy the phone cards and then provide them to the inmates, and then they pay for them, and then that money goes back to the treasurer. But they're doing, now that we have our commissary contract and the phone provider we have, it's flowing pretty well where the inmates have money on their own accounts, and that covers that. So they pay it kind of themselves up front. No change in travel. Increased the utilities a bit, again, just because things go up. I don't pay the heating and cooling and water and gas from the jail side. I pay that just all out of the sheriff's side. But on the jail side, we do have some utilities costs. For example, the two-way radios that they carry, some of those are a subscription-based ones through AT&T. And so I do have to pay that out of the jail side. I increased the meals just a bit from 260 to 280, but I think we're pretty close on that so far this year on what we anticipated, and I don't really anticipate it. The more inmates we have, the more economy we get on that. We would pay less per meal. For the most part, some it's cost to us. It doesn't vary a lot based on the number of meals we have. It's just we pay more per meal, paying more for less. So we try to do some math and make sure that we get into the right, like, for example, if there's 39 meals, we order 40 because it'll actually save us about 30 or $40, across the board. So they do that when they can and try to control that as best we can. JDC, I just left the same. You just never know with JDC. So I kind of look at our trends. We can have a good year. We can have a bad year. This year, we've been paying a few thousand a month. Some years, we pay a lot more than that. Training, I increased because we increased our staff. We have to train more people. Most of our training in the jail has been online certifications. When we have a new jailer come in, we get them certified. Ideally, our goal is within the first year, but ideally we do it within the first month or so and get them trained up. We're just better off in a liability sense. The more training we give them, the earlier, rather than wait till later. We can save some money by waiting and make sure they work out, but I'd rather get them trained up sooner. I did reduce the furniture line and equipment line because I kind of feel like we're settling in a little better and are not finding as many unmet needs now that we've been there for several months. Any other questions about the jail? Big stuff there again is obviously salaries. Salaries are for the most part scheduled stuff, except for those requests for the new positions. I did not put a request in I mentioned it to you in a previous meeting that we requested a grant to cover a program director. We haven't heard on that grant yet. I didn't put the request in here. If we get the grant, I guess we'll have to revisit that, but I didn't put it in there and, eat up another $60,000 that may or may not be spent.
Any questions for Andy?
And I will give Carrie details on where my numbers are for those positions. So that way, if the money's not there and you need to reduce something, you'll see what's there to be reduced. Oh, and I could tell you we are hitting our projections now that we're housing more. We're collecting about $60,000 a month now from out of county holds in the jail. So we're on track to create about 720,000 at minimum. Well, I shouldn't say at minimum because you never know if they don't use you, they don't use you. But if we can house 20 to 30 inmates, 20 inmates is going to produce $720,000 in revenue. And then 30, obviously considerably more. But another thing is the more we have, the less our meal cost is, because for right now, if we're paying, if we have 40 meals, the cost is under $6 a meal. But if we're ordering 25 meals, it's more like $10, $11 a meal. And so for that, say it costs $35 to feed an inmate that day, and we're only getting 95, we're only making $60 a day. But if I can keep my numbers closer into that, closer to 40 overall, then it's only costing us $18 a day to feed the inmate, and we're still getting the 95. So I'm going to work pretty hard to try to keep us above 35 inmates once we get that Marshall contract.
That's the DOC, the extra ones are.
Yeah, DOC has 20 we have 20 DOC inmates right now. Bonhomme County's been holding several with us. Turner County's getting ready to move into their courthouse. And when they do, they intend to start housing with us again. They still bring all their arrestees to us. And if they're just there a few days, they just leave them. But if they're going to stay a long time, or if they have court appearances coming up, they move them to Davison County. And because they're holding court in Salem. And when they get their courthouse back and they're holding court there, then they intend to bring them back to us. It's just closer for them. And so we'll see a few more Turner County inmates than we have been. And Bonhomme has been great to work with, and we've been holding for them quite a bit lately.
Oh, that you're getting, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got several, and the ones that are really, some of them are just in case we need them, but really Bonhomme, Turner, and the state, and now the federal. we don't have a contract with DOC. You know, they've kind of got there's a state statute that says, that limits us to charging them 95, although Minnehaha County's been arguing that 95 doesn't cover their needs. And there's gonna be a bill brought this coming session to, allow counties to charge their actual costs to the state. They have been arguing that they're not obligated in that statute to pay us the transport costs that we imposed on them. We sent them a bill and they sent us a copy of the statute saying that they're only obligated to pay us $95 a day plus actual medical costs. I don't know if we'd consider that an actual medical cost, but I haven't really butted heads about it at this point until we get that Marshall contract, because I want those inmates more than I want the $25 for the transport. And so I'll talk to Michael if we want to really get in the weeds with him on that issue. Right now, I think it's more important that we help them out and give them the beds and that we get that revenue for housing. So we don't actually have a contract with DOC, but I don't think we really need one because of that statute. Anything else? I suppose I'll stay up for while you talk about the burn ban thing, I assume.
Well, I was wondering about skipping to Scott.
Sure. Okay.
If we can, but just to get Scott and Lloyd back
Sure.
to their job. But do you want to stay a minute, Andy? Because we need to talk about utilities, so you and Scott are on the same
Okay.
page.
Yeah.
Scott?
I want to go over my budget.
Yeah, that's what,
Okay.
yeah. So I guess just so we can get Andy moving or on the way, maybe just the utilities. Are you guys both putting utilities on the same building?
It looks like it. At the LEC,
Okay.
I added my line item last year and then this year too. I did a little math on that building out there. Right now, we're in 2026. Looking at $1.09 per square foot for utilities out there. Kind of where we're trending on it. Yeah, to answer your question there. I do have a line item for that. And so does Andy.
Okay. So yeah, if you guys, we are doubling up, so if you two want to figure out where it should be, let Carrie know, or
I assume it should be with me.
however you guys want to do it.
Yeah.
As long as we only do it once.
Cause yeah, what happens is each month I take the bill, I apply the math to it. 70-30, I take a copy to the police chief. She pays that much and I pay the rest. So, being was it not, you want to do that or not?
Yeah. I mean, I guess if it's working that way, I keep doing it that way. I just take it out of my budget, I guess.
Yeah.
The line item.
So you wanna, I can do that and then just pay it out of your budget instead of mine.
Well, that's what I'm figuring, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Who pays the utilities here? Whose budgets that come out of?
mine.
So is it just simpler to have Scott do all the utilities for our buildings then? I'm just asking.
Let me take a look here.
Some of the bill,
What's that?
is your bill in this, or your bill in the city, right?
Yeah, I don't bill them. I just split the bill and give them a copy of the invoice. And, yeah, right now, so far this year, I've spent, $35,600 and I've got a pending one from the city for electricity that, you know, didn't make it in for this meeting.
What's simpler for when you two are replaced? It's gonna be easy.
That's
what's
probably a
gonna be
good
the easier
point.
Part going forward for the next. I mean, you understand it now, but
Yeah,
to explain it to somebody coming in, what was simpler?
You know, I've been paying the utility bills in this building and over there since I've been sheriff. And so for me, doing it the way I've always done it's simpler, but I don't mind if we send those, because what we would be moving wouldn't be 100% of my utilities budget. We would be moving the city electric bill and the Mid-American gas bill. That's the ones we're talking about, which is running about in the neighborhood of $6,000 some months. 5,000 another month, $5,000 to $6,000 a month is what we'd be looking at for those. I also have telephone. In my utilities budget includes our landlines, cell phones, air cards for the patrol cars connectivity. So those all also come out of that. So you wouldn't zero out my utilities budget, but I could definitely do some math and figure out how much. And Scott's might be adequate, because I don't think you have, how much do you have in for?
42.
Sev-
Of course, that's courthouse.
72,000,
That sounds
72.5.
right. Yeah.
72? And that includes just for my building?
Mhm.
Oh,
I'm figuring at that $1.09 a square foot. I think that includes garbage too, I imagine, utilities.
that might not be too far off, looking at that we have the, current bill from the city that's not paid, and that would be for June.
For utilities, you have 42,800. Is that right?
Are you looking at the courthouse or the LEC? LEC is the next page.
LEC 70.
Oh, okay.
Government building.
72,467.
Okay.
72,500. That's what I estimated based on our 8 months we were in there. I took the utilities and did the simple math and didn't really know where we're going, training through the summer and air conditioning, so.
Like I say, I'm optimistic that with Scott's working with the contractors, that we're gonna see some better economy than we have,
You
but
put me on the hot spot.
yep, I have faith in you.
Well,
You know what
however
you're
you guys want to do the utilities.
I think it's okay. Why don't I just keep doing what I'm doing, but it comes out of that line? That way he's got all utilities under his courthouse and out there. And then the bill comes to me and I'll just split it with Carrie or with Crystal. I'll let Carrie and Scott know. So you guys have copies of everything.
That makes sense to me for,
Yeah.
for accounting
Yeah.
purposes.
And then at some point we might find that I don't even see the bill. If you'd rather.
Either way, it doesn't matter. Cause in the past, I just burned copies of stuff and sent it off to Crystal. And
Yep.
Here's your 30%.
Sure. And we can do that.
Whatever it was.
So why don't we put it in his budget line and then him and I will work out, and him and I and Chris will work out how the bill gets moved from here to there. So I'll need to reduce mine, but we'll figure out, how much.
Yeah, just let me know.
Cause I will still have, basically it's telephone and some internet.
Okay.
Easier solutions, neither of them.
I don't know. Neither of us seems to know how.
Might sleep better.
So do we just start in the general government building?
On my budget.
So,
Yeah.
so when I gave them the budget, Scott, I gave it to them split out. So the general government building will be the courthouse.
Okay, so we're talking about the courthouse now.
Yep.
All right, so. Gary kind of handles everything up above their salary, wages, all that stuff, insurance. So if we get down to, professional fees and services, I just took what our actuals were and just did the simple math, and that's increased. Hopefully it doesn't increase that much, but it was kind of trending that direction. So we had an increase there to 50,000 from 37, from about 36,000 to 50,000. Same way with repairs and maintenance, we're trending high there. And I think the reason we're trending high is because we've done some extra stuff. Because of this projects that have been going on, we've come into stuff, kind of figured there might be a problem there, cut open walls, found about bad drain lines. We took it upon ourselves in our department to replace that stuff. We've come across that. So I think that's kind of making our repair budget kind of trend a little high. Hopefully after we get through this year and the projects, that'll relax a little bit, won't be so high, but for now, we're trending high on that, so, there was an increase there of 2,100, 29,000 supplies. I don't know if a whole lot you can do about that. I mean, and once again, that's trending a little bit higher than I thought. There was about a $20,000 increase there. I don't think we're gonna see that either. I think things will start to looking. I don't think we're gonna trend as high as I projected. Even on supplies, I don't think we will. Utilities, that's my guess, that's my estimate for utilities for 2027, about 43,000 for, the courthouse here. Once again, based on where we're at right now and where we're going, how we're tracking. That's how I came up with that number. Then if you go on down to improvements, I put 100,000 in there for improvements. We have this door security project going on. We're wrapping up phase 1 of that. I got a phase 2 in the works, or would like to have in the works, where we just continue installing card readers on these interior office doors and stuff. If you've noticed on the courthouse, we have them on the exterior doors now. We're working on getting them on the exterior doors over here. And so we have several interior doors. We have this old system, as you can see behind you, these alarm locks. They're just seem to be failing day after day. It's obsolete. It's an old system. It's really inadequate. The new system's cloud-based. The person gets a fob, it's assigned to them. They can get in, they can get out. You can limit where they can and can't go throughout the building. If you don't want them in the judicial wing or state's attorneys, they can't get in. So it's a really great system. You can tell who's going where, who's been where, what doors are functioning, not functioning. The doors at the courthouse will be on a schedule. The front door's on a schedule, been on a schedule for 30 days now, where it automatically opens at 7 a.m. and automatically locks at 5 a.m. Of course, you can watch all that on your phone too. So it's a really good system. I've used it before. I'd like to continue with that in the courthouse. And then there's also just another list of stuff going on. Like we got, I don't know how many more feet, at least whatever it is from the building to Main Street out there, clay tile, sewer. I'd like to get that lined. I have some vertical stacks in this building I'd like to get lined. And just odds and ends, like some concrete work outside, some landscaping, trees in the boulevard, within the courthouse itself, keep fixing walls, keep painting. So, it's just a lot of little things like that. And painting the walls isn't so little when you think of the size of the courthouse. So, but like one thing that comes to mind is when you come out, when you're in the first floor of the courthouse, you come in those south doors, you hit that landing and people need to go down. Inevitably, there's people there that shouldn't be using those steps. There's no handrails there. So, I mean, that's handrails on both sides. It's about like a $5,000 project. So that's kind of some of the stuff that I have earmarked for projects. And then the last item, I put 20,000 in for equipment. I don't know if I'll need that or even use that. We're sitting pretty good. The only request I've had for equipment is from John. He'd like to get an edger so he can start edging the sidewalks. So we're sitting good on equipment around here. In my mind, we are. So don't have any expenditures on vehicles. I think you're still surplus and out to be in 2027.
Want that white pickup?
Yeah. So we just keep taking the hand-me-downs and they work.
Rusty.
They're working. So
Don't mind the rust.
no, we don't mind the rust. So yeah, that's the courthouse.
So at the bottom of the courthouse, there's an asterisk that says includes 950,000. Is that just not supposed to be?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
that was last year's note,
Okay,
but that's also why you see a reduction,
right.
is because that project is not happening again, obviously.
Any questions, any other questions on the courthouse? Oh, go ahead.
That email or that, those two projects. Lisa's old office and Rhonda's from Lloyd,
Yeah,
is that gonna be in this one or are we gonna do that this?
when I put
budget?
these notes together, I didn't have it figured in there. I mean, that'd probably wipe out that 100,000 plus.
What was it, 90 and 50? Was that the two
Well,
amounts?
one was 51,000 and the other one was 71,000.
70, 70 and 50.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you swing that this year then? Is that the plan or?
I think I'm probably getting pretty thin in there.
Yeah, I think you probably used it up.
Okay.
May as well,
Below.
if you do those projects, you're gonna supplement that amount.
But then he
so.
did the 100,000 for next year for door security improvement, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that you had the grant for most of that? Was that 65?
I have not submitted a grant for what I'm calling phase 2. I'm getting ready to submit a request for funds for. So in the course of this construction project, and they were already here Midwest Alarms, and I knew I had the money in my building improvements for 2026. I said, since you're on site, bring extra wire and let's pull what the wire we need to these interior doors for a future project. So, and then we green lighted right into the court services project. And I've talked to UJS, I believe they're called, talked to Mr. Sheldon and explained to him what we're doing, why we did, why we proceeded with these projects. And, you know, I didn't take the time to apply for the funds because it's just, I didn't have the time. He said, that's fine. Just submit request, explain why. So I'm going to be submitting a request for a grant for those two projects. Phase 1 of door, the pre-wiring and court services. So we'll see what happens there, but I'm gonna apply for another one in 2027 for this, for phase 2 of door security. So.
You kind of wanted this stuff done though.
Which stuff?
Sooner than better, those remodels.
I've talked, I think for knowing what we have moving forward into 2027 with the public defender contract, I think having, right now, we've just started working with so many attorneys that it's become a problem in 2026. It was a problem in 2025. Moving back into 2027, we're going to be working primarily, not exclusively, but primarily with one public defender again. That having the number of, space is necessary, but the number of individual rooms is going to become less important going into 2027 than it really has been more of an issue 26 and 25 when it's pretty standard on a court date, Tuesday magistrate court date where we could have 5 to 8 attorneys trying to meet with clients. I anticipate in the future into 27 that number will be 2 to 4, 2 to 5. So, we still need to provide a space for the public defender. It's not in our 27 contract that we will provide a space. That's something that we removed. I spoke with Seth Klintz. But in order to be effective, he needs a space. The question is where. So ultimately it needs done. It's just, I think, because of the contract we are entering and the timing, it's already July of 26. By the time this is even done, it'll be 2027. The need for it is less.
But they have space. They have space to meet, right?
Yeah, like Linnea's.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a possibility at least.
I walked Seth through. He honestly, I'm sure wouldn't even, he would not use that space. It's just too far away. The second floor, you know, even if it's just leave it as it is, whether it's the treasurer's office or the register of deeds office, leave it as it is and put in a couple of desks on the opposite side from one another. He could primarily use the one desk. And if somebody else needs to come in there and have a conversation, there's enough space where they could quietly do that. I think that it's not optimal, but it's
Or they could come down
manageable,
here.
or they could come down here. But I think if we could set up a space for the public defender on the second floor, third floor would be preferred, second floor is the next best option. And when I walked him through there, he was said, even if this is what it looks like, I can manage it.
Cause there's no plan for Lisa's office, right? She moves.
Yeah, I got a number to transform that into the public defender slash visiting attorney space. That was $71,600.
71,000?
Yeah.
What are we doing to it?
On a wall.
Just putting a wall
What?
I'm taking out
Well-
the counter.
Like on the counter.
in, counter and lighting and tiles in that vault. Ceiling tiles in there.
Yes,
We may have to wait on fancying a lot of this stuff. up
I
there.
know.
And I think the reality is too, is we're getting to a point where we had our one large project that necessitated the move from the court services office into, you know, one unit, which became a second project. Now we're talking about additional projects, which I think would likely trigger the bid requirements. Even though each individual project is under $100,000, we're probably still in the conversation of if we're going to continue this construction projects, we're going to be in a situation where we need to bid.
Have to bid this under.
We should.
I think ultimately the answer becomes yes, because even though like one expenditure is less than $100,000, there's the total of the two projects exceeds that $100,000. I think there becomes a strong argument that we're now doing really one project in two different areas of the courtroom. They exceed $100,000 and it's going to trigger the necessity of a bid anyway.
But for now, we can put it off though, is what.
Yes. I think we leave the budget the way it is.
Yeah, no, that's what, I just wanted to bring it up.
We don't do anything fancy,
Cause he got those estimates and I thought we better at least talk about it for now.
but we can see how the year ends too. And supplement for next year.
Yeah.
I mean, if we come back, we turn out the better.
Yep.
Yes.
The project,
Yeah.
the project that. The one I have. The registered deeds project, I call it. So. Contractor's number was $51,000. But then there was a desk that Lisa wanted, that's 14,000. Probably have expenses moving her. Which I assume will be under 2,000, but I figured 2,000. Had people in there moving other departments around, relatively inexpensive as compared to the past projects. So that, and if you figure those two things in, 67,000.
Now, is that in your budget? Is that reflected in this budget
No,
per project?
No, this is it. These are some new numbers, but you should say it's not a desk, it's a table with
table.
With
It's called,
Just over
it's
it.
called a records desk.
records
More
table.
than a- yeah.
So that
Yeah.
way, when I run out of shelving space for my books, they can go in the table. So it creates more space because I can't get more space, obviously. So I need to find ways to be creative with space. And that's why it's $14,000.
But you're gonna apply for grants.
Not for this project.
No, but I mean, it's gonna get reimbursed against the other projects,
I'll apply for grants on the security projects, yeah.
right, which we're funding out of general fund. So that'll come back, cause we're already paying for that, right?
Right,
So it's gonna kind of be a reimbursement.
right,
So we'll have that money back in the general fund hopefully next year.
right.
To be able to finish Lisa's project. Her
Gotcha.
office.
Okay.
We'll have staff to supplement. But for me, that would be the plan.
So the main thing would be to do. Rhonda's old office for you. And then we could leave your old one alone.
Yes, but we need to get that grant money back. hopefully.
Yeah. But that would be that was the cheaper project, I guess, without that
Right.
table.
$20,000.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
No.
you throw on the table.
Then you're saying 60 something.
Little less.
like I told Michael, like this whole problem became, I mean, this problem of my office became a problem once the courtroom problem or construction happened. I was fine until, so, I don't know, I feel like if we're gonna wait and do anything with my office, there has to be a solution to getting me through the winter. You know, depending on if we're gonna do this, there has to be something because of the temperature in there involved, so. Like, I mean, timing wise, I don't know what you guys are gonna do, but that's my request is that if we're gonna wait and do it. And we have to go through another winter, then I need a solution.
Solution would probably cost, I'm guessing, under $1,000, cause you could put one of them room air conditioners in there and might look a little unsightly venting it out through the iron window, but you could do that and get the air conditioning you need during the winter time.
You mean it gets too hot in the vault
It's way too hot in the fall.
in the winter time? In the winter time?
Yes.
Yeah, because we're generating
Can we
heat.
just open the
because of-
window?
No. As much as I'd love to be like, it's fine, it doesn't bode well for the old records. You know, yeah, because of all of the computer equipment that's in there now, because of the court services, it, like, there was one day in January when it was like negative outside and it was like 87 in the vault. We could not get it cool in there. So.
That's one way to heat the courthouse.
But it's all just in that one area. So, I don't know, there has to be,
Well, I'm not saying we should, yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to come up with that temporary solution. Hopefully. We can get started after the first of the year. Once we get our final numbers, get the grant money, hopefully, and it's not a guarantee.
Well, we got grant money coming for the court security project.
Oh, we do have
That has been approved, and that I have to file the final paperwork on. I'm getting close to doing that.
How much is that?
I don't remember what it was.
I think I figured that reimbursement into the budget.
Okay, so it's already accounted for.
I'll throw this out there on the registered deeds project. My personal opinion, I think it's a small enough project that we'd be our own general contractor. And probably cut the cost in half real quick. Because we're not talking anything intrusive. We're not knocking a hole in the wall or not putting a hole in the floor and putting in I mean, just we're bringing the ceiling down to 9-foot height, whatever. We got a sprinkler system. We're gonna have to turn down some 90s, put on some whips, drop in some lights, some electrical, some data. Nothing crazy with the floors. We got to patch in around the walls, but I got plenty of that carpet. So skim coat some walls, paint some walls, do some work on that front desk on the old treasurer's office. We're not tearing up any floor, putting down any floor.
Can you put those numbers together? Of what you think it's gonna cost to redo her office?
If we did internally,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then just,
I have a little leg work to do yet. I got people I gotta get hold of and stuff, but yeah.
because then once Carrie gets the budget. After all these changes, gets us a final budget. And then we'll have this project at least sitting on the side, we can see where the budget comes in at.
Okay.
At least we can get an accurate.
I can
angle of
be,
what-
I'll be the general manager. She can be the project manager.
That way we could just be doing that one, then we wouldn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, we just need
Doing
to
a
get, I mean, I don't know if honestly, it should be sooner than later. If there comes a point in which, I mean, if moving the register of deeds to the old treasurer's office is gonna happen soon, I think we wait. But if we're several months away, I do think we need to create a temporary public defender space on the second floor, probably in the treasurer's office, and then move it over to the register of deeds once that project starts. But that expense should just be, for now, from my conversations, and I'm on board with this, is just a couple of tables and chairs.
Mhm.
If we can get tables and chairs into a space on the second floor, we can allow, everything else to get done that needs done before we contemplate any real construction in the old register of deeds space once Lisa moves.
Cause I hate to spend $1,000 for this air conditioner, just to,
Right,
Right.
for 3 months.
that's wasting.
Yeah,
But I mean, Glenn was in there the day, I like had my meltdown because it was so hot. It's hot.
Yes, it was.
Shit hot, and
Yep.
it's not good for those records.
No, you can't.
it's all the hot air in the office.
But what if, and we haven't talked about this, Scott, but what if we just. What would it be easier financially, and I'm sure it would be, but to just do. To fix the vault so that I can have better airflow and have more control and get my, because my other problem is, if I stay where I'm at, I'm totally running out of space because we've had to move shelving units out of my vault to make room for the bump out in the wall and the big, all of this stuff that has happened computer wise in the building has gone into the vault. The one vault in the whole building that is actually used by the company. So I'm running out of space. And of course the temperature. So if I get the new table and just do the air, with that,
You're probably looking at nothing.
I know. And
But if you're running out of space, what's the
the
point?
table is gonna create more space. It's a temporary, I
I
don't know.
mean, you're probably looking at a couple $1,000s for a mini split, maybe even less than that, because I propose to take the one out of the block building. Out of our little shop out here. They don't have any hours or time on it, hardly gets used. And flipping it.
But your Rhonda's current or the old vault, that unit works fine, right?
So
That mini split or whatever that is in there.
Doesn't have a mini.
It
split,
doesn't have
it's got a
many-
fan
it's
coil.
got a fan coil unit in it. But the fan coil unit either heats or air conditions depending on what we put the building into. The mini split, you put it in there and an air condition year round. If it's not below 30 degrees, below 30 degrees outside is not gonna produce air conditioning. But I haven't seen a problem in our IT room with it. But we just leave the fan coil unit off in the air in the wintertime. You can only run it in the summertime when we're air conditioning. We haven't had any issues in there. I realize you're talking about paper and records, it's a little bit different, but. I could
So,
do
so as is, it would work for you, yes or no?
If we could control, like my current office.
No, I'm talking about,
Rhonda's office.
yeah.
If we have to, the
Yeah,
biggest problem in Rhonda's office is the vault. It
Okay,
is not
just
set
have
up,
to put a mini split
it's
in.
not set up for other things.
okay.
And that's the biggest thing, is,
I'm talking about the climate though.
oh, yes.
for the
I
vault.
think so. I don't know. Rhonda's office now with the climate with fine,
Well, yeah, yours was before they added all that stuff in there.
correct,
So hers would be
Yeah.
the same.
okay.
So my other question would be with that equipment in there. Are we keeping it cool enough the way it is?
In our current space,
Right now, we are.
Or she's.
It's in there, in my vault.
No, yes, but.
Yeah, right.
Even come winter time.
In the winter, no. In the winter, it is so hot in there.
So are we gonna have to put a mini split in there anyway?
No, because if the lawyers are in there, they won't really.
No, I'm
get
not
it.
worried about that. I'm worried about the actual equipment getting too hot.
I agree.
That, for the servers that are in that vault.
Oh, no,
I mean, if it's that hot, they're gonna burn out.
I don't
fast.
think that's an issue. We don't see it up on the third floor. In court, in clerk of courts, well, they have a rack up there, computer switch up there too. And we don't have any.
They have as much or?
Current, it's the same size, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, my biggest concern is the records.
I can monitor the temperatures under 12, sure.
Lisa moves to the old treasurer's office, you could wait and see about the mini split.
That's true.
Find out if, because you don't have the computer equipment in there heating that room. it should be okay. It has been for years until
People,
that
for
equipment.
years it was fine.
That's true.
Until all that equipment came in.
You can add the mini split next
Later.
year, 2
Yeah.
years, that day comes if you need to.
I would think Andy's probably right, you know, you maintain that vault door in a closed position and nobody's in there. Bring it down to
Yeah.
68, it's gonna be 68, in winter time, just leave it on 68 or 65, whatever, keep the door closed, cause have to tell the public to bundle when we go in.
Well,
Does-
luckily,
Does your vault now have a fan coil unit?
Oh, yeah, yep,
Yeah,
they all do.
just isn't keeping up.
yeah, I mean, and you were in there. I mean, you put your hand up
Yeah.
by that.
Oh, yeah,
it
it's
is
hot.
So hot.
Yeah.
Well,
And it wouldn't probably be a problem if it wasn't for the records.
Right,
So,
because, yeah, I mean, we're talking old books, old paper. We don't want that to start to get,
You still don't want that computer equipment that hot though either.
well, yeah. But I mean, I don't care. I mean, my job is not to worry about the computer equipment. My job is to worry about the records and
Yeah, yeah.
we don't wanna replace that stuff already. So if you can just get us those numbers, Scott.
Okay.
What it's gonna cost to
Do it
move her.
internally. Do that project internally. Okay. All right, I'll keep working on numbers.
And we need the, what's the final budget time? September, into September?
last Tuesday in September.
So we could have it before that.
Okay, end of September, you said?
Last Tuesday is when they have to adopt it. So I would need it before that, so that I can
Okay.
get everything compiled. So if we're looking at the calendar. Probably. If you could get it to me by like the 22nd.
Questions?
No, we just gotta move to the LEC then. But my question was, is your wages split between the LEC and the courthouse?
50-50.
Okay.
That's what we did, yeah.
Back on that one, I did some math during the other conversation and we could reduce on the sheriff's budget, the utilities line from 65 to 15. If you want to do
To
that,
15?
15, if it's gonna be paid out of his, you could take 50,000 off.
So. Yeah,
15 will cover the.
we get all these numbers at the end so we can look at them again.
Yep. Gosh, that would just about pay for the Register of Deeds office. Or it would if you end up coming in cheaper. Old buildings are fun.
The LEC went to. Is the 91,000 for insurance out there? Is that the building insurance?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
And is that 100%? So that, like the city would get 30% of that then?
that's 100%. That's what we paid for that this year, and I don't know if that was ever, if the city ever kicked in any portion of that, but that's
Well,
what,
they haven't yet. I mean, but that's something we need to address going forward. I mean, that's a bill. Whatever the percentage we come up with is what they're gonna pay for insurance.
Yeah, we'll have to get that into the contract. So that's the thing in that contract. So far, we're mainly looking at square footage is how the vision is. We haven't gotten into consumption, how many people are in there flushing toilets and, it's really hard to come up with a number. So we've just been operating under square footage.
Which is, there's gonna have to be give and take.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to roll a square footage, but
I
that's
don't
just
know.
my opinion.
You'd really get into how do you meter it otherwise? So
Yeah,
it's just how we've been
Because then
operating.
you're gonna be changing, what if you happen to hire 2 people and they lose 3 and
Yep.
it's like, well, we're not using as much.
yeah.
So, and the square footage is easy because they have nothing they're only paying on the building, no outside. So it's easy to keep that separate.
Except for wages on the staff, but we kind of come to an agreement that that's probably the fair deal.
That's the give and take part.
Yep.
So that'd be a little 27 grand. See if we can get that.
I don't know if this is here and there, but I did a little math on, they call it managed facilities. Right now, we're my department's taking care of almost 115,000 square feet between all the buildings. That's including the little 4-H building. Just throwing that out there. It's more than you think. And, so the LEC amounts to 65% of managed facilities. So.
It'd be a lot simpler if it was on one site.
What's that?
Be a lot simpler if it was on one site.
Yes, sir.
It would be.
Talking about remodeling offices and people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on professional fees and services for the LAC, made a lot of phone calls, a lot of different contractors to get that number. I mean, it's a pretty high number, but I mean, you're talking fire alarm inspections, monitoring of the fire alarm, sprinkler systems, fire extinguishers. We have a range hood now that needs to be inspected twice a year. We got pest control, we got fertilizing, you got sprinkler maintenance. There's a lot, generator maintenance once a year. Do you have that? I get a checkup, boiler chiller inspections, inspection of the AC units, monitoring of the BAS, building automation system, computerized maintenance software. That's a split between here and there. I had roof inspections on there, but that doesn't need to be on there because I think that's got like a 10-year warranty on it or something like that. Vehicle equipment repairs and gas. I just did a 50-50 split between the buildings on that. So, you know, obviously we didn't have anything this year because we're in a 1-year warranty. And a lot of these inspections don't have to start till, you know, annually. The only one I did green light and go ahead with this year was the fire extinguishers. So it's on the same cycle as these over here. So, but that's gonna jump up next year to almost 60,000. I have numbers for the individual inspections if you're interested in hearing any of them or not.
On the repairs and maintenance, Andy, you talked about the mattress that got tore up. Did you have that? And do you have repairs and maintenance for that, or is that? all
That
Scott?
would fall under my furniture and minor equipment. I would replace it under that. Unless I could charge the inmate.
Well, I mean, should it be in Scott's budget? I mean, should you be worrying about?
I think I should. I think
Okay.
that's a jail expense.
Okay.
Scott does cover like the repairing a toilet or something like that. The way Scott and I have always worked in this building before we moved, if it's basically in a rough sense, if it's attached to the building, it's Scott's. If it's
Okay.
free, movable, it's ours.
And that for repairs and maintenance, I put that 25.6 in there.
Who knows?
I mean, you get something major go down and then
Cause our warranty runs out in
Yeah.
October.
you get a chiller problem and who knows what the heck that's gonna cost you. I'd like to get away from train. They're very expensive. So that's how I came up with that number. That expense. Supplies and materials, once again, it's just taking what we've been tracking with over there and doing the math. You know, don't have a lot of good numbers to work with over there because we're kind of new over there, but. And I kind of looked what was going on here and did some averaging. Utilities we already talked about, so.
Any other questions for Scott? And or Andy? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, everybody. Yep. Take a 5-minute recess.
I'm just gonna go ahead and pause it and mute it.
Okay, we're back in session. County extension.
Good morning. As you look at the, my proposal for 2027, it's primarily the same with the exception of line 13, 23, and 24. I added, I put in 350 in case we need to run an ad of some sort. Probably won't even cover it, but I wanted a little cushion of some sort so we have some money, provided we need to do something like that. Line 23, I put 150. We occasionally have to purchase best standards books to keep in the 4-H office for 4-Hers, and the last one I purchased was $30. So and that was just the one county. Yeah, I haven't purchased it for Clay. So those kind of expenses do come up. Not sure how often they change, whenever they change major standards, they put out a new book, which is really helpful for the 4-Hers to learn about. And then on line 24, for minor equipment, I just put 800. I'm contemplating a new chair. Not sure yet. I've been looking around for surplus through Board of Regents, but I've been over there about 3 times this last year to look at desks or chairs or something, and this might be a good time to contact Raleigh T. Hart and see if they have anything that I'm looking for. Otherwise, I've kind of got to put that down there. Otherwise, the budget is, I believe it's identical to what was proposed in 25 to 26.
I'm looking at the right one. Your equipment and furniture was $800.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Ours must be different than how yours is set up.
It may be. It's
I was
whatever
getting,
it
I was
was.
getting lost with the line 23.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. That's on an Excel spreadsheet. That's
Okay.
probably why. I'm sorry about that.
So salaries, is that just Raleigh's,
Yes.
correct? So the increase is there a step in there too?
I believe she is due for a step, yes.
Okay.
I didn't touch the salaries because that's really my,
Is that more than?
Don't know.
If we have a,
Is it mid-year?
Yeah, is
Something,
there
it's
something-
mid-year.
we sum up, so basically she would step early or something.
I thought we just step at their anniversary date.
Yeah,
But that's it. She was hired so close to the step time. I think she got the step.
she was
right.
hired in April of
Yeah,
25. Yeah. April of 25.
So is there another step come April then of 27?
I believe she gets it in April of 27. But the way our scale is set up for the first 3 years, they get a step.
So there's a step. And
So there's a step in the 5% COLA.
Don't anticipate any, any new computer equipment or anything like that this year either. I mean,
Good.
should be good for a while.
Do we still have the exterminators coming out there?
There was one out there yesterday.
Okay,
I think they've been out there one other time too.
because we had termites.
Yeah. He was out there yesterday. He told me he didn't see anything, so.
Any other questions, Lori? Thank you.
You bet, you're welcome. Just gonna reiterate that donated monitor saved us a few dollars this year. Makes my job a lot easier to have that on my desk, so I appreciate
Wife appreciates it's gone.
that.
Win-win. Yeah, win-win.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate your support.
You want to do the burn ban now, Mike?
Yeah, that's fine, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, we're gonna do the burn ban, Andy.
Rather than just putting it to a first reading, I figured I'd bring it to you because we've made so many modifications and changes. Lane's looked at it, Lane's sitting over there. Matt was here, but he must have had to leave. Matt was on board with this though. Matt did respond to me, Chip Callahan, he was here a little bit ago. Said that he was a proponent of how this is drafted. It took some time because ultimately I took what we had, plus the conversation we had with the commission, that ultimately culminated with a sit down with Sheriff Howe, Emergency Management, with Lane, and then obviously with Matt as well with the fire department. We sat down, wanted to make sure we understood what we wanted to accomplish out of this fire ban ordinance, and then ultimately I drafted about a 5-page ordinance, said this is way too long, and tried to figure out how I could funnel it down. It's now at 3 pages. I don't think I can get it any less than that. It's in your guys' packet, so you should see it. Section 1 just defines what the purpose of the ordinance is. It's very similar to the language from the 2022 ordinance. It also cites to some state law. Section 2 are all the definitions which become important for regulation. We define a handful of different terms in section 2. Section 3 are the ways in which a fire danger emergency can go into effect. Under the current 2022 ordinance that's in effect, it's only when the National Weather Service issues a red flag warning or a fire weather watch. And to my knowledge, or I think there is the other alternative as well, right? You have authority to act under the 2022 regulation, but never have.
I believe so, but never have.
The only way that a fire danger emergency has ever gone into effect in Clay County from my conversations with Lane has only been when the National Weather Service has issued either the red flag watch or the red flag warning. That was a change, I think, back in 2014 or so is when we went to, whenever they go into the red flag warning, we just issue the fire ban. And it just becomes automatic. And then it's in effect until the National Weather Service ends either the fire weather watch or the red flag warning. So that continues here. What this section 3 does is outline that there's 2 other ways in which a fire ban can also go into effect, or what I'm calling a fire danger emergency, which I think is just same language from 2022. It can either be through Lane, he can issue one, or the commission may also issue what I'm calling a local fire danger emergency. And that's in the event that for whatever reason, you're not meeting the National Weather Service criteria to issue one of their warnings or watches. You'll see here that these local fire danger emergencies can take place. Either entity has the authority. It's either the emergency manager or the commission with a majority vote of the members who are present. It takes effect immediately upon public notice. It remains in effect for no more than 10 days unless extended by the commission. So even if Lane implements one and says for the next 10 days, we're in a fire ban, the commission has the authority to extend it beyond that. Either way, either if you guys implement it or if Lane implements it, it's subject to rescission at any time by the board. So the board can always meet and say, we don't need this anymore. It doesn't need the 10 days, or we don't need additional days. So the authority to act is either entity, but the authority to extend or just end it lies expressly with the commission.
What constitutes public notice?
I defined public notice here. So public notice is, and I've worked on that, notice provided to the public by reasonable means, including website, radio, emergency notification system, or other electronic or printed communication. I mean, this is only going to be in the event that the National Weather Service hasn't issued their red flag warning. So to date, it's never occurred. I mean, to date, we've never had the need to go into a fire ban. I think that there's been discussion about it.
We have, since we put this ordinance in, whatever it was, 2012, 2014, the commission has not set a burn ban. They completely wiped all that out, so.
But I would assume in 12, they probably did.
Yes.
Within that drought, and
Yep.
we're encroaching upon that now. I mean, I think we could see it easily.
Sure.
That's what I'm wondering about.
Yep.
Cause if we have to wait for printed. I mean,
You don't have to wait for print, and I left that out of there intentionally. It's just reasonable notice. So what I did here was, posting on websites, radio, emergency notification systems, or other electronic or print communication. Because the reality is that in order to get something printed, I mean, you would likely potentially be outside the need for the fire ban anymore. You've got to send stuff to the newspaper a week in advance, and then it doesn't run. And so, I mean, that's not reasonable for, so I included in the definition of public notice reasonable need. So we would just have to ensure that we're advising folks to the best of our ability if there comes a point in which, I imagine a situation where we need to have an emergency meeting, or it's just a decision to post, the potential burn ban on our next commission meeting. All we need to do to ensure that we're being in compliance with this public notice provision is provide public notice. And so we're going to want to do more than just put it on our agenda. You're going to want to have it on our websites, have the sheriff post it, have Carrie post for the commission. If it's possible, maybe get something to the radio to have them.
Well, I think through the VCGC, we have like in kind that they'll put it on the radio for us.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's gonna cost us anything, but I could be wrong on that, but I mean, the options there.
And that's why I tried to be pretty broad with what public notice was. And I also want to ensure that it's reasonable, because it's just going to depend on the situation. But you will not need to print something in legal newspaper to provide notice.
Are you okay with making that decision?
Yes, I'm okay with it. And the only thing that is the 10 days, if it's tomorrow, 10 days doesn't get to the next
Well,
meeting.
we'll have a meeting.
But you'll have to have an emergency meeting, just so you know that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Also embedded in this is, well, that's ultimately how a fire emergency could go into effect. And again, it's either going to be through the National Weather Service, and those self-regulate themselves. If it goes into effect, one of these watches or warnings go into effect, nothing changes from what we've been doing for a decade or more now.
Right.
That continues. The only addition is that we're just providing some clarification as to how a local fire danger emergency could also be implemented, and it's either through Lane or through this commission, and the ability to extend it or to rescind it lies expressly with the commission if a local fire emergency ever goes into effect. Any questions on that? So then what we have are section 4, which talks about burning regulations, outlined that cooking appliances, the use of cooking appliances is always permitted. It never needs to be called in, even if you're in a fire danger emergency. A cooking appliance is one of the things that I defined. It's intended to be a Traeger grill, I'll just read. It's a portable or permanently installed appliance manufactured and intended solely for the preparation of food by means of contained combustion or electronic heating. So gas grills, charcoal grills, pellet grills, smokers, similar enclosed cooking devices. So any enclosed cooking device somebody's got on their back porch in rural Clay County, they can continue to use even if you're inside of a fire ban. B is activities allowed without notification. That's going to be, you never have, so long as we're not in a fire danger emergency, people can continue to use burn barrels, outdoor fireplaces, and what I've defined as recreational and personal use fires, those are like campsite fires, also a term that's defined, without contacting the communication center. I believe that fits within what's already permitted. I didn't want to change the scope. We've defined burn barrels, which I have a typo on burn barrels. I added too many L's. Did that twice. I looked that up. Apparently it's a last name, so that's why I didn't catch it since I had to capitalize. So I've got that twice, but I've defined burn barrel. I've defined outdoor fireplace. Those match the definitions that have already been put into effect back in 2022. And then what I've done is rather than having like campsites and camps, different, like we had campgrounds defined before. What I did was I just defined a recreational and personal use fire, and I've defined that as a fire used for personal enjoyment, warmth, ceremonial purposes, or similar non-commercial purposes, including fires contained in fire pits, outdoor fireplaces, campground fire rings, or similar outdoor fire devices. So those devices can continue to be used without calling into the communication center to advise that they're gonna have a campfire.
But during a burn ban, they're all outside.
Yep, so during, in C, open burning, well, D, so let's go through C, that was B. C is open burning requiring notification. I've defined open burning requires you to call into the communication center, something that we're already doing anyway. So if you're gonna do an open burn, think of, crop residue, I've got a crop residue, grass, vegetation, brush, ditches, fields, roads, fence rows, trash, debris, or other natural or manufactured materials. If you're doing what we define as an open burn already in the ordinance, you have to call in. And I provide how you call in section C. Here, you call into the communication center, you advise them of who the adult burner is, the address, telephone number, burn location, and materials to be burned. That's already required, so I'm just trying to replicate what's already required in the current ordinance in section C. And then section D talks about the prohibition of burning. During a fire danger emergency, you cannot do open burning, use burn barrels, outdoor fireplaces, or recreational and personal use fires throughout unincorporated Clay County. So that would include places like the Clay County campground. You can't even have, under how I have it written, you cannot have a campfire at the Clay County campground if we're in a fire ban. The following paragraph talks about how by resolution, the commission may exempt certain locations, activities, or facilities from a fire ban. So that was incorporated in the event that this commission has a desire to, perhaps allow people at the campground to continue to have campfires, even though we're going to be in some sort of local fire emergency for an extended amount of time. This just expressly provides the commission with authority by resolution to do that exemption. So it doesn't automatically do anything. It's just providing you with authority. Any questions on section 4?
What about fire tables? Cause those will come into question because they're propane and they're not necessarily, they're under control, but does that fall in your?
They're for recreation.
But I don't even know what a fire table is.
So like, basically, you can set your drinks on the side. Of the
Oh,
fire,
sure,
and then light
sure.
them on.
Yep.
Propane fire.
Yeah,
pit
the
and
intention would be that falls under the recreational and personal use fires. So that's why I also tried to define that fairly broadly. It's a fire used for personal enjoyment. And then it says including things like fire pits, outdoor fireplaces, campground fire rings, or similar outdoor fire devices. I think that would fit.
I say a lot of those are like on a concrete patio, so I didn't know if you'd have a lot of bark back on that, so.
Right. The intention was to be pretty broad because there's a lot of different devices like that, what you're describing. So we talked about that as well, about how there's a lot of different ways that people are using, outdoor fire.
So 2 questions on burn barrels. If they have a burn barrel, are they supposed to call that in every time?
No,
Okay,
as long as it fits within the definition of what a burn barrel is.
which most of them don't. They're just usually a barrel without a grate.
Right, because the burn barrel definition requires a grate. It does right now, that 2022.
Right.
This language is the same.
And then when there's a burn ban, no using burn barrels, right?
Correct,
Even if they meet the definition?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so under 4D, during a fire danger emergency, you cannot conduct open burning, use burn barrels, outdoor fireplaces, or recreational and personal use fires. The only thing really that's permitted in a fire danger emergency would be, again, what I've defined as those cooking appliances. You can continue to use charcoal and propane grills to continue cooking. Other than that, every other type of fire, outdoor fire, is really prohibited. But I think that's in accordance to how it currently reads.
Which of the ones Kevin brought up is those, like the fire table is propane.
Yeah,
It's not gonna spread unless
Yeah.
something
that-
happens.
that's more like-
Yeah, you turn it off, but during a fire emergency, there's really no difference from that in the gas grill, but.
no,
And
I'd say-
but the thing is, you're also never gonna know it, and we're only talking about incorporated areas,
Correct.
but yeah, if somebody sees their neighbor over there with propane fire going, they could call it in.
the other way would
Find
be to
ourselves out.
define that and then to provide it to be a use that's
Another
permitted.
paragraph. add another paragraph.
Yeah, can't we, I mean, let's just keep it simple.
It is recreational.
And then we're hoping this doesn't, if we have to come to this, we hope it's only. Yes,
The times that this has been an issue are those times where we've had people that haven't called in a fire and we've gone out there. Fire departments responded and they didn't call it in, and it's really, we had an ordinance that was unenforceable. Or when the fire gets out of control and they didn't call it in, or they didn't observe it, they didn't stay with it. That's what we're trying to fix.
Like a 2-week stretch then.
Yeah.
Fires every.
Yeah, everybody was burning.
well, that was the problem. It was dry then, I mean,
Yeah.
green grass was burning like it was dead.
Yeah.
And people, they want to burn in the spring and fall. In summertime, they're not even thinking about, there's crops in the field, you don't want to be, risking that, but spring and the fall is when everybody wants to burn, so. But I don't think we've ever had really an issue with, well, that's a fire ring and that's I got a solo stove, I've got, all these different things. That's not what people are reporting. It's, I think we'll have some level of discretion to apply to that, but if you don't define it, it's gonna come up.
Absolutely.
And,
You see a 30-foot flag.
You're not cooking,
Yeah.
not well anyway.
So section 5 defines responsibility. I've defined specifically an individual called the adult burner. That's the individual who remains responsible for the fire. It's the person who ignites it, who calls it in if necessary. They're making, essentially what we've wanted to do from conversations is not allow people to transfer their liability onto someone else by saying, oh, the landowner told me to, or yeah, my dad started it and now I'm watching it for him. So the person responsible for the fire is the person who is the adult burner, the person who started the fire, the person who called it in, depending on if it needs to be called in. I do account for, but potentially somebody who's under 18 could also violate this ordinance. So I specifically included a quick clause about how just because you're not 18 doesn't mean that you're immune from liability. If you start a fire and you don't call it in, or you start a fire that gets out of control and you're 17, theoretically we could go after them. I just threw it in there so that we didn't have that come up in the later when we don't have the ability to enforce it.
we enforce that in juvenile court, or would be citable like a traffic?
I think it would be in juvenile court. And, again, probably never comes in, but just, I added a quick blurb in there just to ensure that if there is a situation that's appropriate, that we don't lose the ability to cite someone just because they're not 18 and defined as the adult burner.
So if the adult lights it, but leaves a 16 or 17-year-old there,
The adult's
is still
responsible for it,
Okay.
correct? And that's been the intention here, is to just ensure, because that's been one of the issues that we've ran into, is the way that the old ordinance reads, is we have had folks that have said, the landlord told me to, or I called and got permission, or whatever. It's like, really, who's responsible now that this fire's gotten out of control? This just very clearly defines that if you start the fire, you're responsible for it.
So is that a question that 911 will ask when we call in?
Yeah, when you
Will
call,
routine?
when you call the routine line, you have to, if it's under section 4C, which is the open burning, you have to provide the communication center with your name, your address, your telephone number, the location of the burn, and the materials that are going to be burned.
Right,
That is the person responsible for
but
the
now are
fire.
we gonna ask if they're over 18?
I don't know if you would need to, I mean,
I don't think matters.
I guess since
You're
you're
still
still,
responsible.
even though you're not over 18,
Right.
if you light the
Still
fire.
gonna charge you.
yeah, you're responsible for it. I mean, ultimately, I don't know if that ever really comes up, or somebody under 18 is calling in a fire, I'm sure not.
I don't know if they have the wherewithal.
No, right.
This might be bad.
Right. So for now, I would like to, I don't have the time today, but I would like to, and I will in the future, create probably a county bond schedule that will account for this. But for now, what I've done is I just created a penalty. So section 6 is the penalty. We talked about where we wanted this to lie, and really how we've been, when we have been prosecuting this, we've been treating it as a standard class 2 misdemeanor. That's why it's a funny number, but it's a $54 fine plus applicable fine court costs. It turns into being that, what is that, 176, it's like $132.50.
$132.50.
That's where it's at right now. Between the fine and the court costs are at $132.50. It's a class 2 misdemeanor is how we've treated it. I think that's appropriate, how we would intend to probably continuing to treat it. So now it just outlines that it is a fine, and this permits law enforcement, if they deem it appropriate, to just issue a citation that allows them to pay the fine without even going to court. I've also included specific language that says that the no jail sentence shall be imposed. I did that so that there never comes a time in which we have to worry about a jury trial and even a public defender. We don't, this is treating this as essentially as a speeding ticket, if you would. That's how we've always treated it before, really. I mean, when it's been appropriate to submit it to the courts, it's been treated as a speeding ticket or a stop sign violation. So that's how I wrote it. I mean, if the county commissioner would like to see something different than that, we could explore that, but that's the way that it's written today, is just to provide
Other than the fact that
simplicity.
it can recoup cost of firefighters.
So that's also included in here. It really doesn't need to be, but in the second paragraph of section 6 talks about SDCL 343512, which talks about how there can be a civil fine or essentially a lawsuit that could be implemented against the adult burner or the landowner, whoever it's appropriate against, to recoup costs of mutual aid, government reimbursement obligations, firefighter compensation, things like that. So that would be, but that falls outside of like a criminal prosecution.
Where does that fine money go then?
The 132.50, 54, it would just go into the general fund. I mean, it'd go into the same place. It'd go to the same place that like our speeding citations go. So it just is allocated pursuant to state law as to where it goes. I mean, the bulk of it goes to a court fine or the court costs. The $54 fine is allocated, however, state law has them allocated to different school districts and.
Yeah, well, the school districts comes out of the court costs.
Okay,
The 54 is what you get, you know. Wakanda at one point had the, what was it? I think the barking dog ordinance, they had a significant fine plus costs, but for stray dog, they had $5 plus costs. The cost was adequate for that,
right.
you know, so they just added 5 for themselves. It's whatever you add. You'll get whatever is above court costs. And they remit that to the treasurer, I assume. Get checks now.
But this other,
Courts.
like the fire suppression, those costs would be significant. Do they go right to the fire department?
The
then?
fire department or the city or the county would have to begin some sort of civil process against it. They'd have to file a lawsuit essentially to go after those costs. So it'd be outside of what this is accomplishing.
Historically, people have paid it because and not so much in this case, but like when Jerry Wilson's land burned up with the pipeline company, they were willing to pay all those costs. So we've never actually had to sue anybody, to my knowledge anyway.
So does the chief just say, you owe this much?
Yeah, sends them.
Kind of how, yeah. And how they do that, I have no idea what their formula is.
I think it's based on National Wildland pay schedules.
That's really the end of it as far as, section 7 and 8. 7 is just severability, saying that if any portion of this ordinance is unenforceable, the rest of it is enforceable. Probably doesn't need to be incorporated, but it being expressly stated helps. And section 8 just is, we've done this with some other ordinances where we've just said, if there's anything else on the books, this supersedes and repeals anything else from the 2022 to anything else that could have been implemented by this county commission. We don't think that there would be, but it's kind of some boilerplate language to just say that if there's anything else on the books, 2207, as well as any other ordinances relevant to fire bans, this ordinance supersedes and repeals them.
Of course, you'd have to amend section 6 if you have a county bond schedule that ever changes it.
Correct.
You know, if your county bond schedule is the same amount, you won't need to amend this until
Right.
eventually you change the county bond schedule that changes that.
Can the police department use this ordinance then?
This is only enforceable in unincorporated Clay County.
Right, but they patrol outside of city limits.
They have policing powers pursuant to state law within the mile outside the city limits. So yes, they could cite a violation of this under their policing powers if they're in unincorporated Clay County.
So does this count as a first reading and then we advance it to a second?
No, this was just a discussion. I wanted to bring it to the commission to see what your guys' thoughts were. I mean, it's been so long since we had the conversation and we've worked together, and I've tried to make it make sense, but also keep it within a realistic template. 3 pages is already long enough. My intention now would be to, if you guys are comfortable moving it into a first reading, that's what we do.
like make a motion that we advance it to a first reading.
Second,
I have a motion and a second. When will that be, Carrie? Will we have it on the 30th?
I'll have to advertise it, so it would not, we couldn't do it until August 18th.
August 18th?
Yeah, cause that'd be the next meeting after the 30th.
Right.
So we have.
We're gonna. build
Unless
that
we have a
without
special
you.
meeting.
That was a conversation at the last meeting if we wanted to wait that long.
Right.
And my preference would be to have one before then. I'm currently set for a trial the 19th through the 21st. The 18th is gonna be rough for me.
So we go to the 30th.
How quick could we have this meeting? Okay.
So if I would send it to the paper, it could be published next week and the following, so the soonest would probably be like the 11th.
Really?
I think we have to publish twice.
we're not meeting the 4th, is that right? Or are we?
Well,
Or I know there's gotta be at least 10 days, so.
Yeah, I think that's right.
the fourth one was at the,
I'm just talking,
Oh, yeah.
that would be our 2 week.
right, well.
So that would be the
we talked
11th
about skipping
anyway.
that because of the canvas.
Because it's gotta
meeting.
be 10 days after publication.
Cause we have a meeting on the 30th.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
longer.
But, so. It's gonna hit the paper the 31st is what you're saying.
Right,
And then we gotta be 10 days after that.
yep.
So the 11th.
11th. Probably the first reading. You could do the second reading.
5 days later. So that would be like the 17th or 18th also.
And it goes into effect 20 days after publication. Effectively, it can be it could be in effect by the middle of September.
We still have a burn ban ordinance on the books,
We do.
right?
Yep. And this mostly replicates that. It makes some clarification, it does a much better job of identifying who's responsible for the burn. It does a much better job of outlining what the person's responsibility is. That's why it's 3 pages, but it really just mirrors what we have before. I mean,
Okay.
what the 2022 ordinance does is it provided us an opportunity to enforce a lot of these the needs. What we've found since 2022 is that there's some, there's been some issues with figuring out how do we enforce it. That's what this tries to do, just to clarify. So everything really is still on the books. And I believe under 2022, the commission and EM still, emergency management still has the authority to implement a burn ban.
Okay.
Enforcement, we had trouble with, well, there wasn't a fine set, so all we could do is cite them into Tuesday court or send the state's attorney a report, request charges. And then there was some question when people would be pointing at the other.
But at least
He told me to light it. No, I didn't.
we can still at least put a ban.
Correct.
Burn barrel is that's didn't change.
That didn't change.
Okay.
That definition.
That's probably the biggest.
Yeah.
Thing right now, so.
That people need to understand that even in a burn ban, you can't burn your. burn
Right, right.
Cause I'm as guilty as anybody, I'm sure. Burn barrel's full, it's not blowing. Okay. I wonder,
Still.
we do.
Yeah, you still have
since
to
we
vote.
Still have a burn ban, do we need to, I mean, since we're
Well, no,
still
we're-
able to do it,
We're just talking about moving this to.
right, but we have to put what date that's gonna be, and what are we thinking? After we meet on the 30th, are we gonna meet on the 11th then? Cause that's not technically a normal day,
Right.
but we could meet on the 11th and then get back on schedule by the end of the month, by the end of August.
Yeah, cause as it sits right now, if you meet on the 18th, that is the only meeting in August.
Be the 11th, 18th, and then the 1st of September.
So we could do the
That would
18th.
take
We
us-
could do the 18th for the first reading then, right?
That would keep us on that normal.
Schedule. So we set it for the first reading for the 18th.
Okay.
And not meet the board.
Right. Unless something major comes up.
Yeah.
Cause we'll have heard everybody for budget by then, right?
Yeah,
30th.
and then you'll start hearing from the outside organizations in
Yeah.
August.
Okay. So motion and a second to have the first reading on the 18th of August. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion passes. No.
And I'm back. No, so the budget this year, going up a little bit, but I was able to cut costs. The move's done, so I don't need any new furniture. One of the big cuts was the proof of service and fees. I don't have any software really for, the planning and zoning department, so that helps cut a lot of that. When I took over, there was a service that we had initially, and it went through 2026, but it wasn't efficient, so I'm not it was like a permitting software that Drew set up originally back in like 24. Like I said, I didn't really care for it, so I didn't renew it. So, right now, we're still just using the basic PDFs, fillable documents. When I reached out to a handful of companies, they quoted me $5,000 to $6,000 for the basic service. And that was like the minimum cost. I'll just do what we're doing now, so. Going down for supplies, once again, I don't need to buy as many things this year, just because we got it this year, so reduce that by almost $500. Travel, now that I'm in the South Dakota Planner Association, they're gonna be hosting it out in Rapid more than likely next year. So I'll just take a county car, so that'll cut down on expense there. This year it's up in Sioux Falls. So save a little money there by taking a county car again. But yeah, pretty much it. Don't cost anything for insurance, so.
On the planning and zoning, do we still have that ArcGIS software? We paying for that every year?
Not that I'm aware. I know the only software that I currently use is Tracker from Lisa's office, and that's like $38 a month. And then, yeah, because Linnea pays for Beacon, which is what I use for my office. So.
Surveyors wanted it for like elevations. Well, we got it for Drew at the time. So it was in the planning and zoning office.
Yeah. I wasn't really given a handover on that, so.
I didn't know if we were still paying for it.
Yeah, I
just
think he canceled it
bought it.
while I was taking over, yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't remember paying a bill for that
And I haven't got,
for I don't know how long.
yeah, and I still have his
And
email.
I didn't remember if it was just a one-time thing or if it was annual.
Yeah.
It's cool software, but.
Yeah. I'll let the surveyors just do surveyor things. Then I'm also kind of predicting this year another thing for publishing. I don't think the interest rates are gonna be as good as they were. Obviously, if they drop down to 2021 standards, then yeah, be publishing a lot more things in the newspaper, but I don't see that happening anytime soon, so I can be a little bit more conservative on publication costs. But with our new fees, for conditional uses, rezones, all that stuff, along with plat applications and 911 addresses, we haven't cost taxpayers any money, because now it's the individual requesting all of it pays for the request. So to include 911 addresses. So in that department, I'm net zero. The new service fee for building permits is paying off wonderfully. I haven't, at least cost wise, I've pretty much paid for the planning and zoning department, and I'm working on the veterans department now for total cost. Any more questions on planning and zoning side? Going down into the veterans one then, travel for veterans, that's up. So we have our spring and fall mini camps for training, and then we have our seasonal or our yearly training. That's always up in Sioux Falls, so we're able to save money a little bit there, but those are required for me to go to, along with me hosting events to get that money from the state. And then supplies, materials, once again, don't need as much stuff. The main thing for that is gonna be the Tyler, pretty much what I have to use to file VA claims. That's a specialty software, and they do on spot maintenance if anything happens, so definitely a good one to have. And then repairs and maintenance, that would be the flags. So we have the correct size flags flying on the flagpoles now. It's a 6x10. Obviously, those are a little bit more money than a little 3x5, but
Don't get those for free.
no. We got them on a good discount. So.
So you took over the
Welfare.
welfare.
Yeah.
So it's. Is there a welfare line on here, Karen?
No,
I think in total between my two offices, it's like one or 102 for total costs. Compared to Yankton, that's a pretty cheap bill.
Any other questions for Noah?
So I tried making my budget as friendly as possible.
Budget savvy.
So might be buying some challenge coins. We don't know yet. So
And then you've got the
Yeah, the
county seal or.
county seal contest. After our website discussion, um, I figured, you know, when we look at trying to get polos for conference or district meetings, our current logo doesn't really fit. I would like to find a place that could embroider that logo. But this way it would be up to the county. So all the students coming back into school, USD students would be open to this as well. But it would just be everyone can submit one, and then to prevent one from being, you know, kind of like a joke choice that the community votes on, you guys pick the top 5, so each of you would get one seal pretty much. And then that's what the county would then vote on. So, and then obviously no AI is allowed just because we want to encourage, one of the ideas, the main idea I got this from was the USS South Dakota when they did their seal, for their crest. I was actually in school when that happened. So that was just an art project that we were assigned. So I think some high schooler out of like Howard or something like that ended up winning the competition. So, but, and then, like I said, this would be a free way to update it. And if we get colors for the new website as well, I mean, it'd help on costs there. So just updating more or less is kind of what I'm proposing. Especially if we're going to be updating the website, it would just be a. Yep, and then you would also be able to, we could have a new county flag with that logo on it. I know I've been talking with some people, you know, it's on the back of the business card, or if it's, for say the sheriff's department gets challenge coins for the deputy for someone helping out. One side it could be the sheriff's symbol and the other side would be the county logo or the county seal. So I don't know, I guess it's just trying to do quality of life upgrades.
There was discussions about, like, I know Linnaeus folks want, you know, and probably you as well, some identification for when they go out into the field, and this might be with that conversation taking place in the last few months, so perhaps updating things just will make that a little, it kind of goes hand in hand, since we're already having those discussions about doing some shirts or something else to allow easy identification for field work.
Big targets on the back.
I think with the focus that we have, like in our community and our county on the arts, I think it's a really neat idea to have a contest. It's very cool.
You know, and I already have a booth at the Clay County Fair, so if we wanted to, we could advertise it there just because I'm already gonna be there for work. And then that would give people time like, oh, I see that this is happening, and then we could go there.
Are you gonna reach out to the school districts then? And
Yes, sir. Yeah. Once they get back into session and they get the first week under them, you know, I'll reach out to all the school districts of, hey, this is a contest. If your art teacher wants to get a free assignment.
It's August 31st, gonna give you enough.
That's just a draft. That's just a draft. I was, yeah, we can change it.
yeah,
I made a template that, you know, this is what we could put in the newspaper and stuff like that as well. So it might cost us $20 to get a new county seal. I'll take that.
there's 6 school districts.
Right. Yep, so it'd just be any students, so USD included, because students, Irene, Wakanda, and Vermillion, of course, so. But they have to be inside of Clay County.
Well, I mean, we've got school districts in Beersford, Ivory, Curley, Centerville,
We have Clay County students in 6 different school districts.
Okay,
plus USD.
okay, so would you like me to reach out to the Beersford school districts?
Yeah, because those kids live in Clay County.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Clay
could
County.
just open it up to the students that live in Clay County. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and that's what this says, you know, you gotta be a Clay County resident.
Yep. Clay County resident or student, because I mean, USD doesn't have residency here.
And there, our teacher can narrow it down to who that is.
The Secretary of State's office does this every year, or not every year, but on election years with the I voted sticker contest. And it's just kind of a neat way to get the kids involved.
And like I said, each of you get your own pick, and then that's what the actual vote would be for, not, hey, we have 100 entries, and then, you know, they all get like 4 or 2 or 1, and it's like, all right, what's the actual popular choice? And narrowing it down to 5, I feel like is a pretty fair number to debate.
Bodie McBoatface.
Yeah, no Bodie McBoatface. Yeah, no, I was just because, I mean, it was that one sheriff's department. They had an inmate come up with the design, and there was a pig inside of the cow. Well, and the funny part was is that it was the same concept, except for it wasn't the top 5. It was the community just voted, and so that's what I'm trying to mitigate that situation from happening.
I don't think nobody seems to have a problem with it, so I'll go forward with it.
Perfect. I'll go ahead and start getting everything typed up. So send it over to Carrie and then forward it to you guys as well. Okay, awesome. Thank you guys.
Thanks. Rhonda, we're out of money, sorry. Next year, you want to be a little earlier.
That's true. It's true. Okay. Well, good morning. Really, I've had no big changes in mine, kind of staying status quo. I raised my supplies and materials just a little bit, just because everything's going up. Cost of paper, cost of staples, all the things we use every day. Other than that, like I say, I'm just planning on staying status quo. Any questions for me?
That's all your wages are gonna go up?
Yeah. I have 4 people with steps and 1 with grade increase. So. I only have 1 that's has nothing, staying the same. You know, just the COLA. And they all do a great job. So I couldn't, with a clear conscience, hold back a step or a grade. Because they
Well,
work hard.
I only asked because it seemed like it wasn't enough.
Oh.
With the amount of people you have,
Mhm.
just basing it on the other ones.
Yeah. Yeah, well, my highest paid employee at the time is the one that's staying status quo, so. I looked again, my data processing is still a little high, but I'm still waiting. I've built it in to purchase my new banking software, which I keep getting put down the road. So I'm not going to buy it till it's time to use it, but I want to be ready to pay for it when the day comes. So.
That's guaranteed that anything that software is.
Yes. Yeah. And what I was quoted, it'll probably be higher by the time I go to pay for it. So. Yep. I think I have. Oh, and I just want to say thank you for the wonderful facility that you've provided for us. Everybody just loves it. So us and the people that come to see us, except for a few that I know. We didn't realize how crowded we were until we had room, you know, because you just make those accommodations.
Yeah.
And it's just been absolutely wonderful.
See the 4 people standing in the hallway waiting.
Uh-huh. Yep. You know, now, and for whatever reason, and maybe it's just because we see the people or whatever, but we feel busier. We feel like we're getting more people. Well, we are, because we're getting those non-residents that are driving here. So
And when they come, there's 5 in a car, so keeps us entertained for the day.
I still have, is the increase in wages still right?
I'm just talking about.
We
that.
were just looking at that. Yeah,
I mean, the 5% is 17.8.
So I showed her too, but
I know there was one that left and so she hired, at a lower, so that accounts for some of that.
Right.
Yeah, I've got everybody in here.
With their steps.
Mm-hmm. Are you sure they were due for steps this year? I'm just looking at.
I have Marcy, Sarah, and Alicia.
I know
And
we talked
Brianna.
about it,
One was
and I know
paid.
we both agreed on these
That
salary
was-
numbers.
Yeah,
I'll double check it again. But I'm pretty confident
I
that.
am too, compared to what we had last year, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just basing it off of 2025's off of what your salaries were at a 0.5%, 5%,
Mm-hmm.
that's 16.5. I would assume 3 or 4 steps, 3 or 4 people getting a step grade. Has to be more than $1,000, right?
I'd have to run the
Between the
numbers.
5 of them, 4 of them.
I'd have to look at the numbers.
Just-
I don't know. I didn't figure for that because when we were discussing it, everything was following according to
Right.
our chart and their time in office. So,
I got 4.9%.
Yeah,
doesn't
I mean, it
steps.
doesn't seem like it's right when you look at the total numbers. But when I'm looking at the actual
Okay.
by each person, I mean, it looks right.
mhm.
I just wonder if, like the difference in wages accounted for some of that. I will double check them just to make sure,
Yeah, because the one that
but
left.
it's looking right, just
quite a bit
a
of-
quick glance. So, and I know you looked at it and I looked
Yeah,
at it,
yeah.
so
We'll
I'll
look
double
again.
check again.
Yeah. Yeah, comparing from last year to this year, it looked correct.
I just wanted to be right.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah. Thanks for seeing that.
Any other questions? Oh, I'm sure you said what the minor equipment was and furniture.
That is my copiers, that my contracts for those, that's pretty much what comes out of there. Scanners, copiers. And then if I would need something offhand, but we shouldn't need anything furniture wise for a while.
Yeah, you should be good there.
Yeah, you're sitting good there.
And the professional services and the fees, I would assume is the big part of that 75,000 is the mailing
Yes.
that we
We
collect.
we collect quite a bit of that back, yeah. We collect all of it back. But of course, this year postage went up, trying to keep up with the post office. And I'm also, the state has implemented as of July 1st, we collect more for a regular envelope versus sending out license plates. But of course, we have to have the money up front to
Right.
cover the expense, but we get plenty back, so.
Yeah, nothing else. Thank you. Carrie?
My turn?
Oh,
I'll start with the election budget. That one's gonna look really great just because it's not an election year, so the cost goes way down. Mainly I have stuff in there for maintenance contracts. I try to buy some of our supplies on the off year so that it's not such a huge expense on the election year. So things like, absentee envelopes, seals, stuff like that. Travel and conference, we always have our training on the off year. So we'll have to go to Pier for that, and that'll be everybody in the office. And then, furniture and minor equipment, we'll have that pole pad lease. And again, those are eligible for HAVA funds, so we'll probably get some grant money back for that. Otherwise, not much real change there, so that one's pretty simple. If you don't have any questions, I'll switch over to the auditors page. That one is, pretty close to the same, except, I did add some in the data processing for software costs. It's like the story of our life around here lately. We'll hopefully maybe not have the cost for Patty, but I don't know that because I don't really have a timeline. I mean, things have kind of dragged out longer than we expected that they would, so we're still working on several systems and, and we haven't been able to eliminate hers, so that's still included in there. Have a better idea now of, what like Paylocity and Assist for the accounting, what they're gonna run each year. Other than, software, I'd really love to have that Lincoln County budget software, but I think that's kind of out of the question. If Yankton County is paying about 13,000 a year, I don't think we can justify $10,000 or more. So I did not include that. That's not something I'm anticipating doing. Cut a little bit out of supplies and materials. Travel. Other than that, I don't really have anything super specific that I've increased.
I'm thinking about it. Can I ask you about that ambulance? You paid that 361, was it last year?
Have we gotten that yet?
Paid for the chassis, I thought.
I know we budgeted for it. I don't know if I've seen a bill come through for that. I don't know if we've gotten it yet. I'd have to go back and look.
I was just going by that, what you had budgeted, that 45,696. So that's every year for 5 years, and then
Yep, and that 5th year we buy the ambulance.
Okay.
And that's not gonna be enough to cover it. Like, we probably should revisit what we're putting aside each year. Cause it does not cover in 5 years with the current cost of things.
I know you made a note wherever that was about adding 3%, but
Yeah,
maybe that should.
and that was kind of an old note. I kind of had a note to myself to revisit while we're about budgets, but yeah,
Unfortunately, it needs to be about 70,000 a year.
it really does.
It's 228. Is that
Right.
Yeah.
that's fine, that,
And we did end up buying that ambulance a few years early. Like, we were scheduled to, we're kind of on a schedule for 28 there. But we ended up doing it a little early because the problems they were having with that other one. Yeah, 215 definitely not not today's price on that.
you know,
But we may have to wait this year. We just put that much away, but we're gonna have to make it up sometime.
yeah.
Maybe we can get ahead of these building projects.
So maybe I make a note for the 28 budget to increase that up to about 70. Leave it as it is for 27 and start increasing in 28.
I'll have a better handle. Because in this budget, all the insurance, health insurance, that's just a shot in the dark.
Yeah. We've been pretty lucky the last couple of years. We've come in below like the market increases, but I always figure 10% because you just never know.
I'm afraid it's gonna bite us sometime.
And it probably will. I mean, we've been what around like 5-7%, so we've been pretty lucky.
Yep. Anything else for Gary's budget? Okay.
I just had to ask that because you had the floor, so I didn't want
Yeah.
to forget to bring
Yeah.
that up.
No, I don't, because I think, what time was it last year that we started talking about replacing that? Because I knew I was gonna need a budget for it this year. I don't think we haven't gotten it yet. I think it was supposed to be like later in the year when it actually would arrive.
But didn't we pay for part of it already?
I don't think so.
Okay. That'd have been a good question from that one, was here.
And if we had paid for it in 26 already, it would show up in there. And we don't have any expenses showing up in 25, so I don't think we paid anything for it yet.
Okay.
Oh,
Maybe they just had to order the chassis.
Yeah,
Get it
I think
started.
they just ordered it.
We
I
didn't
think
pay
that was a
that-
discussion.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that we had to start there. That was part of the process.
What was that?
So there was like an 18-month lead time on it or something?
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Is that 361 number?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that'll be the total cost.
Supposed to be. If nobody has anything else for Carrie, she's got a resolution for cancel outstanding checks.
And these are just the ones that we kind of do every year. Typically, what happens is people get their grand jury and their jury duty checks, and their employer, tells them that if they don't take the check, then they could get paid for the day, and then the checks just kind of hang out there forever. So we end up canceling them down the road.
Make a motion, we approve resolution 2026-19 to cancel outstanding checks.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, roll call. Sorry, Dave. Roll call.
Okay. Gilbertson,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Deasy,
Yes.
Mochler,
Yes, motion passes. Adoption of the 2027 provisional budget.
So I just need a motion from you guys to adopt a provisional budget so that I can publish it and move on with the process essentially.
Make a motion to adopt the 2027 provisional budget.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Then we needed a motion to approve the vouchers.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. And then everybody got to see the department monthly reports and recent payroll changes. And I think that's it.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Dave.